Hello! Hi! Ooh, that's a bit loud though, isn't it? There we go, that's better. Okay, let me get things set up real quick. I don't even know what that is. Okay, hold on. Need to get the Burcam back up. That's what everyone is here for, right? Here we go.
WMOO birds. Oh, and Taishin.
Hi. Yo.
Words.
I wish there was a better way to show the, like, to not have to hide the code away. Like, I'm looking at things that are off screen, I'm sorry. Can't always estimate. I mean, ideally people want it to be like this, right? I don't think I can really do that. But it's, have to be something like that. Alright. This isn't even trial, that's JavaScript garbage. We don't want to do that. Okay, welcome back to Treehouse with Burcam. Still using my shitty phone camera, but I ordered a pretty good
100 by 100 pixels for code.
I ordered a pretty good webcam off of AliExpress, so that'll be arriving in 3 years maybe, and then we'll have better quality birds at the full 30 FPS. So look forward to that. It also has a wide-angle lens, which is probably going to be a bit better to see more things. As it is, I can barely cover my cage. Anyway, that's that. Now, we were in the process of rewriting trial things.
Can't wait for 4K birds.
I don't think it's going to be 4K. That would be a bit too expensive. Plus, I can't even stream that. So, last time and time before, I think we were writing, like, rewriting the engine's asset system and stuff, and we're still not done with that. So today we're going to do more of that, because I didn't get any time at all this week to actually work on trial. I had too much other garbage going on, this like with thesis and ELS and thesis and ELS and ELS and also the thesis, and then also I had lectures and other bugs and stuff to worry about. So yeah, I didn't have much time for that. Hopefully I will have more time to work on it off stream in the future. Yeah. Another thing, which is a side note, I'm not really...
What about your else and your theses?
I don't know,
Plus
dude.
birds.
So I wrote a paper for ELS this week. Like, I did it one day on Wednesday. I just said, fuck it, I'm gonna write a paper for ELS, why not? So I did that, and if I can find it again, it's somewhere. Box paper PDF. It's about trials system for shader composition and stuff. It's short paper, 3 pages, not even. And yeah.
Bigger bird cam.
Hopefully it'll get accepted. I know, make it a bit bigger. There you go. Hopefully it'll get accepted, and I can present at ELS again this year. That'll be cool.
Like 90% of screen.
I can't do that, I'm sorry. Anyway, so if you want, I'll paste the link in the chat, and you can read it if you want. Not read it if you want as well, that's fine by me. I don't give a shit. Where is that stuff? Here you go. Wow. Amazing. Hey, by the way, backers, you're in the references. Whoa. Now you're officially referenced in a scientific literature paper amazing. How does that make you feel? Alright, all of that aside, I'm gonna finish off asset things, and then for the next couple of weeks, what I want to do is prepare something special for the occasion that I do get accepted at ELS. And I want to do something...
Holy shit. Second time for Vario. P.
So, what I want to do is something that Baggers actually did at a talk himself, so I'm copying that shamelessly. Just to say, I want to do a slideshow software in trial. What I want to do is have the ability to like write slides in Lisp and then show them in an OpenGL window. And at the same time, what I also want to do, what he didn't do, is have a source code editor inside the slides that can like recompile code inside the slides and
do something.
Change the slideshow within the slideshow. So that'll be cool. I can't make the birds do anything. They're their own birds. I don't hold dominion over birds. Sorry. So hopefully we can get that going. I've been thinking some more about the UI stuff for that, especially... I don't think I'll really need a complex UI framework for that, but I've been thinking about that stuff anyway. And so far, this idea of using springs to relate how components attach to each other and how they size is looking pretty good, except for the one problem of maintaining aspect ratios, which is because maintaining aspect ratios means you introduce side conditions to the equations, which makes them a lot more problematic, because then they're no longer independent and linear. They can become... So this might need some more thinking about if there's a different way to do that, and if not, then yeah. Anyway, we'll see, because it's some hairy stuff. Now, where we left off, I think one of the few things remaining is on one hand the problem of where to fetch the context and the main window from. And because I haven't been able to work on that all week, I don't really have any more ideas beyond what I mentioned last time. So, if you recall, the problem was the question of how to reach the OpenGL context object so that you can make changes to it from somewhere that is outside of the main rendering loop. The easiest solution to this...
Turn up the volume.
Can't do that, it's just a microphone. You'll just have to wait for them to not be sleepy anymore. They're currently a bit tuckered out. As you can see, like one of them is just singing a sleepy song to the other one, I guess. The other one is snoozing. They're being very cute. Oh, very cute. Anyway, so the easiest solution would be just to do something like this, where we just have a global variable for the main window that is currently active, and then fetch it through that. But I don't really like that idea. By the way, don't chastise Minty for talking about stupid shit. This is the Treehouse. Nobody cares. This is like made for hanging out with people, not primarily for being serious about code shit. I've been saying that like over and over, but I don't think people really get it. Yeah, go do whatever. I don't really mind if things get rowdy and whatever. Right, so right, so I need to think about that. So basically, there's two things that maybe I should bust out my shitty MS Paint diagrams again, so we can look at this. a bit better. Yeah, let's do that. Why not? Come on. I want to launch. Please. Here we go. Alright, so basically, as the architecture currently is, we have things, and then we have other things that are not things. So we have a main. Actually, wait, no, we have a display, which is a controller. Display has a context, which means it has OpenGL stuff. Controller has a loop, has a no, wait, it's not a call to controller, it's a renderer. Renderable. And that has a render thread. And what the render thread does is it calls render in a loop. Yes. So that's that, and then we have a main. Here's a display, and it has a theme. Okay. Now, typically everything happens in here, right? Typically everything happens in the render thread. Like you render calls out to like update and or what does it process events, I think it's called, and it calls out to paint and so forth. So all of the game logic really happens in here. So it happens in the render thread, and within the render thread context is bound, so you can access the context, and within process events the scene is bound, so you can access the scene as well. Let me like thing here, maybe show what things are thinged. So within here, context bound, and within here, the scene is bound. So for instance, if you wanted to send events from a paint method, you couldn't do that because you don't have access to the scene, which handles events. Or if you wanted to access the scene from anywhere outside of the render thread, you couldn't do that either. Or if you wanted to access the context from anywhere else, you couldn't do that. So that's the current problem. For instance, if you hit Control-C, right? So you recompile something, then Slime launches a new thread, and then that would trigger something like, I don't know, reinitialize instance. On some kind of asset or resource. No, not on a resource, actually. Asset. Right, so in order to reinitialize that, it needs to have access to this context object. And the question is, how does it get it? Or alternatively, what you could do, instead of directly accessing the context, you could try to issue an event, in which case you would have the same problem of how do I reach the scene? Or the event loop. So now the question is, how do we resolve this? And resolving this requires asking or answering a couple of questions about what kind of restrictions we have on the engine. So for instance, Currently, things are always organized in such a way that the scene and the context are locally bound. That means you can have as many of those as you want and they won't interfere. But in this case, where a thread is completely detached, it needs to have some kind of way to reach these two objects, which has to go through the global context. There is no other way that I can see for this to work. It needs to have some kind of global registry that gives it access to these two instances. So, for instance, instead of these direct accesses, what we could do is have some kind of registry, I'll just call it now, which points to these. And then we ask the registry for these instances. Now, the most primitive way of doing that is having this main variable that simply points here, and then you can reach the scene and the context from there. That's one idea. Yes. Now, the issue with that is that obviously this restricts you to having only one main active at any time. It also restricts you in the sense that now, in order for these things to work, a user of trial needs to use the main class, because otherwise, or at least it needs to use a class that has methods implemented that can give you the scene and the context object. In the very least. And I'm not sure if that's a good idea or if we want something that is more indirect. I don't really have an answer for that. Also, they're being really sleepy right now, like, holy shit. Tucking their beaks in. I still can't believe that's actually comfortable. Like, twisting your head around 180 degrees. Somehow still comfortable for them. I don't know how that works. Right. So, the other problem this causes is that, well, it's already kind of encoded anyway. Does it ever make sense for a context, or for a main to have multiple contexts or multiple scenes? I don't think so, right? Baggers, are you already dead, or what happened? Did you pass out drunk? Also, I haven't heard from Gingy in all day. Like, he might be dead. Like, actually, really dead. That's no good.
Went off to grab a drink. What's happening?
I'm asking questions. I think you're the only one currently on stream with any kind of experience with this project at all. So I don't really have anyone else to turn to. Right, so how much did you not catch? I just don't know.
About 40 seconds.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not... I don't know how much that is. Anyway, to reiterate, the problem is the question of how does something that is outside of these two contexts, how does something outside of here reach this and this, right? So needs to have access to these two things. And the question is how to provide that access. And I'm not sure about, well, two things in particular. So, one is that, do we want to only allow one particular main window instance at a time?
And the new thread doesn't have a context of its own.
No. Where would it get that context?
Or a shared context.
How would it... Even if you do create a shared context, you still need to tell the shared context what it is shared with, so you need to have access to the original context. Like, no matter what you do, you need to somehow get this reference. You need to get this. Somehow. Right, so two questions that come up for me are, one, is it okay to restrict things so that main can only carry one context and one scene at a time? So basically these accesses here...
sorry, I thought that was a given. Like you said before, you would need a central registry mapping something, maybe threads, to contexts.
Yes. The question is, how do we do that, though? How do we do this registry? This is the question. And, like, okay, so one thing that comes up is, we have this main object, right? Which has an accessor for a scene and an accessor for context. Which implies that there's only one context and only one scene active at a particular time. And now, is that a reasonable constraint to have? Or are there legitimate situations in which it would be useful to have multiple scenes and multiple contexts active at the same time? That's one of the questions. I can't really think of any situation where that would be advisable, though. Because, I mean, a scene...
Could it be a separate scene?
Yes, but the scene determines what is drawn onto the context. So it doesn't really make sense to have two scenes active at the same time. If anything, you would switch out the scene. So you would have, for instance, you would have another thing for like UI or I don't know, and then you would switch between the two. To, you know, change out which one is being drawn currently. And for the context, it doesn't make any sense at all for me to have two. Imagine... like,
how similar is the trial context to a GL context?
A trial context encompasses a GL context. So, they're virtually the same. It just adds some stuff to make it thread safe. I'm not talking about share context here, like, because share contexts are still virtually the same context, just on a different thread. I'm talking about completely separate contexts, and I don't see any reason why you would want to have multiple. Right? Can't think of anything.
Yeah, I haven't thought of a use for that in my stuff either.
Okay, at least we're in agreement about that then. Okay, so I think there's no real point to that. Because even if you consider things like, okay, so for the scene, if you consider a scenario like split screen is still the same scene, but you're just rendering same thing from different cameras. And like UI, if you want to have that like blend in and stuff, you would just put that on a different layer rather than in a different scene entirely, maybe. Don't see a reason for that.
I'm not sure why the scene would own a context through. Scene feels like a separate primitive, but that might just be how I'm thinking of that term.
A scene does not own a context, they're decoupled, no. I don't... What gave you that idea? Did I explain something wrong? I'm not sure. Like, the main object owns a scene, and the main object is a display, which owns a context. And the display is a renderable, which has a thread in which the context is bound, and in which the scene is drawn. By default.
Don't worry, it's just me not remembering everything.
Okay. Alright, so that's one question. The other question is, would you ever want to have multiple instances of a main at the same time? Now I can see that being reasonable. For instance, if we go a step away from the usual application domain of video games, where you only really have one window, and go into the application domain of general graphics toolkits, then you probably want to have multiple windows, an arbitrary amount of them, active at the same time. And the question from that becomes, well, each window probably has its own main thingy, right? Or at least that's one way that could work. Actually, how would you handle multiple windows in OpenGL? Can multiple windows own the same?
Sounds reasonable.
Can multiple windows have the same context? How would you differentiate where you draw to, though?
You have to make the context active on each window each time you want to render to one.
I see. So you can have the same context, you have to switch windows. Okay. Okay. I guess food for thought, because that means I need to change things around again. Need to decouple things more heavily.
If the content is completely unrelated, it might be a place for multiple non-shared contexts.
Yeah, but it's usually not the case, is it? I mean, most UI toolkits have a lot of shared elements, like a lot of shared resources of how you draw things, like fonts and textures and shit. Okay, so that actually poses a problem for me, because currently a context, as Trial understands it, is a bundling of the GL context and a window. And if we want to have multiple windows in the same context, I need to decouple that. And get a way to switcheroo these things. Okay, but that's for another time. For another time. Conceptually, I think we can still keep this model for now. The problem of having multiple main instances arises. And that gives us a problem of what happens now if okay, so we hit recompile, right? So a new thread is launched by Slime, and for instance we recompile some kind of asset definition, which changes the path of the asset.
When you get to it, have a look at glop, attach GL context and SDL2, GL make current.
Doesn't make a current in the current thread. Not make current is about the thread locality. Oh no, they use it for something else. I don't have SDL2 bindings, I have only GLFW and glop and Qt bindings. In Qt it's completely impossible, I think. No wait, it isn't. Never mind, it's not impossible. It's possible to have a context separated. Alright, yeah, I don't want to think I don't want to think about that right now. Okay, so we have an asset definition that we recompile. So it needs to be reloaded. Which means it needs to touch GL resources. And as we currently...
There will be something equivalent in GLFW2. Their way of handle contexts is a little odd.
Okay. I'm sure there is. Anyway. So now the problem becomes, how do we access this variable from here? Right. We're in here. We are without a dynamic binding of the context, but we need to reach it somehow. Question is how we do that, because there might be multiple main instances. How do we do that? Like, okay, so we decided that it wasn't really reasonable to have entirely different GL contexts active at the same in the same application, right? So this problem of reaching the context isn't really a problem anymore, because we can just grab the only reference that exists. So basically we have a context somewhere that points to this instance, the only one that exists, and then for the asset reloading, I can just grab the context from there. But if we, for instance, have issue event, right? So something wants to send some kind of event to the event loop, which is to the scene. How does it know which scene to grab? Because now we have multiple main instances with each possibly their own scene object, probably their own scene object. So where does issue event know? How does issue event know where to signal to issue to? So that is the question. I mean, on one hand, I guess the question becomes, is it even reasonable to want to do this? I guess it is, if your expectation is that there's only one window. I guess. I don't know. I mean, whenever that happens, you would either have to already know where to send it in advance, or you would have to like intend what you might mean is the primary window, right? Can't really imagine any other. I guess you might also have a situation where you mean to send the event to every window, right? So...
Good evening.
Hello. They're just sleepy tonight. I'm not sure what to do about this. I guess a reasonable default would be to broadcast. So, to say that if you don't know where exactly to issue the event to, you just put it onto every window. Does that make sense? Yeah, I guess so. Okay. And that's only for issuing events. Only for that. Oh boy. Tough questions. Tough question.
Tricky without some use cases of threads like this.
Yeah, I mean, if if you remove the possibility of random things popping up that don't have a dynamic context, then things become easy because you don't need any way to reach like global state. Okay, so all right, I think let me switch back to stuff. Right, let's take a look at the event loop definition. Put that over here so you can see it behind the birds. All right. So we have this loop variable, which is used where? There. Where else is it used? Using controller to not event. And nowhere else at all. Nowhere else. Really? I might be able to do away with this and instead issuing it different. Wait. I use variable width buffers because I'm not stuck in the fucking 70s. Get with the times, dude. Jesus. I really don't understand people's obsession with fucking 80 character limits. It's so little. Come on, dude. Nice beggars. Baggers knows what's up. Alright. I think I can do away with this. Most possibly. What does event need? It needs a loop. That's not the event loop.
I like the char limits. 4/5 columns in Emacs is nice.
I like me some long ass lines, baby. Yeah, give me them every day. Look at that. Lines for days, man. Just like long legs. Legs for days, lines for days.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Right. So, one way to do this would be to add to
I like 80 chars too. Can have a couple windows without having line breaks.
I just have line breaks, no problem. And I enjoy not having to have a fucking brain aneurysm from constantly having to figure out how to wrap my lines so I don't break the limit in a stupid ass way. Ah, freeze my mind, dude. Feels so nice not to have to think about that. Basically, I like anything that removes an arbitrary restriction on how to format things. Because I feel like if you remove these restrictions, you can preserve your styling for more semantically important things. Rather than having to please some arbitrary standard. But that's...
Addicted to aneurysms.
Oh yeah, that's a cool bug.
Understood. Going to write one-line programs from now on.
Hey man, if it's clear that way, go for it.
We should add AZ access to Emacs so we can type code in 3D.
People did that with like fucking XML. I'm not even joking, it's so bad.
Don't close your parents, free your code.
When you're registered, you can have multiple instances connected at the same time, so it's quite handy. You could even shitpost from the toilet and nobody would notice. There's actually also an Android app that I made for this, but broken, sort of. Mostly works, but you can't, like on emotes, that crashes the app for some reason. I don't know. And hashtag just Android things.
Shit posting whilst maintaining eye contact.
Okay. Right. So I think I'm gonna get rid of this. And instead, what is that? You. Scene. Lisp. We're gonna have that, and
I was able to mostly dodge having to develop for Android in the distributed systems course.
Oh really? I was gonna do that last semester, but then I realized I would only have credit points in one category, so I had to switch to visual computing. Anyway. My birds are active again. Look at them go. Yeah, yeah. Oh, look, they're kissing. Wildly shaking their heads.
I'm sorry, I forgot it was a Sunday. What did I miss?
You missed me wanting to ask you a question. So, thank you for that. Anyway, yeah, let's... Okay, that should be that. Event. And now, in the controller, we use...
Did the birds give consent to you live streaming their private activities?
I mean, look at them go. Obviously, they want to be on cam. Sorry, I just need to stop looking at birds or I'll never get anything done. Okay. Right, so you replace that with the scene, which is nice and good and cool. And that's all fine. Now... Sorry, right? Huh. I think... renderable. Render loop. Fine. Now update. Thing. is update? Okay. It doesn't define here, right? It doesn't. Holy shit, 10 viewers, oh my god.
Do you
Chat is
still
gonna
need
crash.
to ask the question? And was it related to Harmony?
It would take too long to explain it at this point, and no, it was not. It was related to trial and things. Someone else can fill you in if they want to, so I'm busy with looking at stuff right now. That does that. Process. Where is process defined? Here. Oh, it's this one. Okay. And okay. Or why that's a function, not a generic. Probably because I thought I wanted to be efficient. Ah, ha ha ha, aha. Funny. Okay. Yeah, probably not the best. Is handle ever called outside of this? Outside of process? Should it be? Is allowed? So, the way the event system works is that there is a event loop object that contains a list of handlers and a queue of events. When you call process on the event loop, then it loops through all the events and calls handle on each event and the loop. Now, handle in turn then distributes the event to interested handlers. Now my question is it ever, or is it reasonable to allow something other than process to invoke handle manually? So is it reasonable to bypass the event queuing system? And I'm leaning towards a no. Leaning towards a no. Is there ever a situation where that wouldn't be?
Could it be useful debugging?
I'm not sure how. Not sure how. I mean, if you issue an event, it's gonna get queued and then it's gonna end up being handled appropriately. If you call handle manually, all you could do is run yourself into problems by calling it from the wrong thread, like, or in the wrong context. So things would just break because handlers have certain assumptions about where they are called. Like processing things outside of... Oh yeah, things are... fuck. Shit. I don't know what's going on. Oh shit. Oh shit, chat is even freezing. What the fuck? Okay. My internet is dying. That's great. What the hell? What the fuck is going on? Weird, because I can still open Google and shit. That works fine, but everything else is lagging to shit. Gonna reconnect the stream. What the hell? Okay. Being finally disconnected. Let me see if it works if I reconnect. Am I back? Okay. No idea what that was about. I think my ISP just took a big ol' shit on my face. Curse you, sunrise! Alright. Where was I? Where was I? I forget. Birds around the frame. No good. Alright, right, we were trying to determine if it was reasonable to allow handle being called outside of the process.
The scrolling issue is fixed now.
Yes. Lots of fixes to the chat, actually. Hooray! Lots of fixes.
With the chat window on the stream page.
Yeah, I know. Lots of... right. So, I think the answer to that is a clear no, which means I can do a micro-optimization of turning this into a generic. Loop, loop. And then, instead of doing this, do this.
If something else would be allowed to call handle, then the event system abstraction would be not good enough.
I don't know about that. It might be reasonable to think about, like, the angle that I can see is that you would say, you might want to fire a single event directly without having to go through the thread synchronization mechanism. So there might be instances where you might want to do this, but it is inherently dangerous. You are right in the sense that it is a breach of abstraction layers. Yes. Anyway, I think the current change makes that a bit more difficult to do, but not really so. Basically what I did was just, instead of binding the scene object dynamically every call to handle, I just bind it on process once. Which is, you know, just a tiny bit. of improvement. Right, okay, that's that. So now we have access to the scene object and we have access to context where needed. Excelente. Still can't really reach it on render though, which I do want to add back in. Main. So display sets up the rendering, right? So what does it call? It calls source on target. That's gonna be main. I think. Where's the main? Paint. Oh no, is it? Yeah, it's paint. Right, so paint source. Okay, paint the scene to the target. Yes. It's fine. And then we have, do we have a paint method on here? No, we don't. But it would probably be reasonable to do this. Paint around, scene, target, select. Okay. Yep. The change done. Now we can, how should I say, portably or reasonably reach the context and the scene from within this area. And the next step is figuring out this area here. Right. So basically what I said about the context is still true. I only ever want to have one primary context to be usable. So I think the context should be globally reachable. I think that's a reasonable restriction. Okay. So all contacts. The only problem with that is determining if the context is pretty low. Valid. Don't hide show. I don't like this music. Why did I put that on a playlist? Oh no. Why? Let me put together differently. I want something more upbeat. What can we do? What can we do? Something upbeat. Might do this for a bit. Why not?
Do you only have soundtracks in your library?
No. I have tons of shit, but soundtracks are the most likely thing that I can play. Oftentimes. Lots of other shit I can't play without getting blasted up the ass by copyright strikes. Ooh, that's a bit loud, isn't it? Okay. We have a thing to destroy, make current, dump current. We don't have a... Context release.
Hi, Burb.
I wish they would go on the fucking swing, but guess I don't want to right now. Keep going. Oh, they're eating food. Gotta get some grub, yo. Use that. Okay, we eat that. And that's a bit cleaner. Good. So now we can set the context statically, I think, and it'll still work fine. Yes. Yes. Right. Solve that issue. Maybe. Even through. We already do that. Interesting. So, hold on. Context is set globally? What? Do I see that right? I think I do. I think I do. What? What? So let me test that. Where's the launch function again? Right. Clear things up first. What? Oh, right. Whoopsie doodle. Yeah. I'll launch. Well. Oh, right. Okay. Got a thread. Good. So far, so good. Now, I want to see if... that's globally bound. It's not. Oh, no, wait. That's wrong. Nil. Why is it nil? Why? Did I read that source code wrong? So, what does acquire do? Because if it is re-entering, it doesn't create a binding for it. So if I go to display, with context, thunk, does acquire, and then there's release. Okay, good. Yeah, okay. I know that the bird stream is obscuring parts of stuff. Deal with it. Getting birds. Don't need anything else. So that's fine. Now, on acquire, what does it do? It does set context. I don't understand why that doesn't affect the global binding though then. Huh. Maybe I do create a binding somewhere. Solar. Important. Creator pause. Important. Toolkit. Pretty sure it's not important. Wait, what? Oh! Why would I ever do that? Huh. Interesting. Okay. Okay. That'll do it. That'll do it. That'll do it. Okay. Yeah. That's the culprit. Why did I put that there? I think probably to avoid exactly this happening. Probably was thinking I was being a fucking smartass, a real smart boy. Wasn't being dumb. Okay. Remember, people, paranoia can really fuck you up. That's no good. Why is that happening?
You were being too clever.
No, I was being too... I was trying to be too restrictive. Which is a problem a lot of people have. Why is this happening now? This should not be happening. You need to acquire. Clear context. Why is that happening? Story context. Finalize. Doesn't. The main might do something else that the display should be doing already. Yes. That should be in display. I'm pretty sure. Analyze. Do we have a force? No. No, wait, what? This should probably do that anyway. Is destroy. Wait, do we have a is there ever a reason not to have force there? No, I don't think so. Force. With force. And with haste. Soundtrack is so good. Yeah.
What does force do?
So by default, trial attempts to ensure that the context is only ever owned by a single thread. So it has an exclusive locking scheme for that. And what force does is it, well, forcibly takes over the thread to the context of the current thread. Okay. Now if I launch it, get the window. Excellent. Excellent, dude. If I print it, yeah, we got it. Okay, sweet. Now it should also shut down to that. Good. 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 Very good. Okay, so we got that in. Let me commit that so we have a clean slate. So there's a couple of things. That should still be in, I'm pretty sure. Okay. Just context globally set while retaining local funding. Okay. Gotcha. That's one step done. Now we come to the final step, which is the retrieval of main window instance, or generally just windows from the global context. It's so annoying in computer science that so many terms are way overloaded. When I mean global context, I don't mean an OpenGL context or anything like that. I mean the minding context, so the global environment, I guess, is what it's called, really. Okay, right. Still don't really know what to do with that. And where is it even used? I think it's used in here. Thing. Or do anything else. Let me check. Resource. This. Let's if you have initialize reload. Only for GL assets though, so... I really wish there was a way to do combinatorics in generic functions, so I could say like GL resource plus asset, but unfortunately there is not. Yeah. Another way to do that is follow the GL asset and then require things to inherit from that. I don't really like that much. But hey.
FYI, code is behind the burb video.
Oh shit, okay. Now it's not. If I had a thing where if I had Emacs with the WebKit extension, I guess I could show the bird video in a buffer, in an Emacs buffer, but I don't. No, assets edge. Font is font one. Yes. But not every asset. Okay. That should take care of that problem. Now, controller, maybe reload scene. That would still be useful. Load. Selector. Yes, okay. Look. Does it use that? So many things I don't remember. Oh, jeez. Controller distance. Vector this. I know it's hidden right now. I don't care. It's mostly backend stuff. Context backend stuff. Anything else? Yeah, glop. Add a bunch. I think so. Okay, I think that's part of the event bridge. Yeah, not used otherwise. Solar bridge. This will frame time. And there's that. Frame time? Part of the renderable, isn't it? Yes. Now it uses it to display the FPS, I think. Yeah. Okay, no. I don't really like that. Okay. I guess we're gonna reinstate the Windows system, sort of. Yeah. Sort of, but different. Now we're gonna have hundreds of windows, so I can just use a vector or something to store things. Use a list. Better. Otherwise, push it on. Yeah. Right. Should it be? Should it be before? Oh, I don't know. Metal Gear. What are my birds up to? Still eating. That. Hey, hold on, maybe I can feed them a bit. I didn't want to have anything to do with that, I guess. Oh well. Oh, I dropped some more frames. That's amazing. Great. Fantastic. Alright. So that should be good. Unfortunately, my birds aren't tame, so can't make any tricks with them or anything fun like that. It's mostly because I don't have the time. Well, I do have the time for it to tame them, but it requires so incredibly much patience. Should like, if I really wanted to pull this through, I would have to like every day, multiple times, I would have to stick my hand in a cage, sometimes with millet, sometimes without, and just wait there until my fucking blood pressure sinks to 0. And like get them comfortable. But anyway, I'm too lazy. Right, so to add this back.
They have a bird brain after all.
Sure. Okay. Good. Now we have a system that should work. Oh, whoops. Okay. Find your ass. Loading. Okay. Wait, did I do that right? Offload doesn't exist anymore. I did not do that right. Do we have offload anywhere? Because if we do, that's not right. Offload. All that way. Editor is wrong, of course. Alright. Oh, push that. Whoops. Push. Alright. So that's solved as well. Which means the only thing left now is... this function. The only function left to revise for things to start working again. and to start working much more conceptually smooth. Have any calls that left aside from that? Haters. What? That's not right. Alright, good. I don't think I'll be able to pull this off this time around, though. Yeah, I need to think about how to exactly do that and how to allow the user to specify extra properties and stuff. Oh hey, the birds are having a chat on the wooden swing. Good. Good. Alright, yeah, I'll have to think about that. Hopefully I'll get some time this week to do that. And next time we can finish this off. Or I'll... Okay, let me revise that. Hopefully I'll get the time during the week to finish this off. And next time we can start with the slideshow presentation software based on trial. So that'll be fun. Great. Super cool if I can get that working. Yeah, if that thing that we can make a thing, a reality thing, a thing that actually exists, that will be ace. Minor stuff and thing. Perfect. Yeah. So as I mentioned, I mentioned this at the beginning, but the idea is that you have like, you know, just have one, whoa, crazy, one window that you full screen, and that's going to be your slideshow stuff. And within it, you're just running text and things with trial. Then you also have input elements. So, like one element would be a code block. And that would have code in it that you can then recompile within the slideshow and like affect the actual slideshow. So, for instance, I could have a definition for slide here. I'm drawing with the mouse right now, so good, fine. Slide. And then I could change that while the presentation is running and recompile it, and then it would affect same slide stuff. So that would be fucking cool as shit. So that's what I want to do. And that is definitely my own original idea, not at all stolen from what Baggers did at his presentation. So, just so you know, original content do not steal. Copyrights me all the years. Yeah, no, if we can get that going, that'll make for some neat shit. Yeah. That's the plan for the next couple of streams, to get this sort of system built. Yeah. Okay. So what I need to do for this fix is to have a function that more clearly distinguishes how textures, like their properties. So I need to have a thing that tells me better who textures are compatible or not. And then I need to incorporate that in here so I can do the allocation correctly, and I need to incorporate that in here. It's gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be a bit more difficult. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to go through each texture and create a set of a minimal set of incompatible textures, and then loop through each, all allocates on, and then can do that, and that should be correct. So let me do the minimal set of texture and allocate on each. Yes. Okay. Okay. Right. Anyway, yeah, that was it for Treehouse for tonight, I think. Thanks for joining me.